Hello, I'm MPX Toycat, and this week was incredibly exciting because we heard that the Caves and Cliffs Part 2 update will be releasing on November the 30th. That is less than 2 weeks from now. It's incredibly exciting, but Bambi Rebel has the question of when does Caves and Cliffs Part 3 come out? And this seems like a funny question on the surface, but it was confirmed in the announcement of Caves and Cliffs Part 2 that not all of the features that we were expecting to see in 1.18 will be there, and of course the obvious one, the one we saw trailers for at Minecon Live this year, was that the Warden and the Deep Dark City will be in the 1.19 update instead. So if you think about it, 1.19 will be the Caves and Cliffs Part 3 update, and that is really exciting. Obviously, it's actually called the Wild Update, which is a fun name, and they're doing a lot of other things in there. However, if we're talking about finishing Caves and Cliffs as an update that they announced last year, then all of the rest of the features they announced, such as Archaeology, such as bundles, and probably most mysterious of all, the Goat Horn, all of those features are delayed indefinitely, they have said. So Caves and Cliffs Part 4 will be coming out at some point in the future. The only thing we know for sure is that it's going to be after 1.19 now, and that is a bummer, but hopefully it hints towards something good happening with the release date of that being sooner in the next year than we're traditionally used to of updates. Who knows for sure? If we speculate too long about 1.19, people get confused because we're talking about two updates at once. So let's move into the second question, shall we? Because no, Toycat, you are a lunatic. There are candles in 1.17. I have them on a table in my house. They are talking about a single candle and a cake, kind of like birthday candles, and you know what? Besides the mild meanness here of calling me a lunatic unfairly, I do have to say that, yeah, I read the Minecraft press release. They have it out on their website. Even right now, this is still the official record that this update, 1.18, Caves and Cliffs Part 2, is going to bring candles for everyone, which implies that some people don't have candles, and I was thinking back to when 1.17 released and there weren't candles for Bedrock, but I entirely blanked on the 1.17.10 update, which added candles later. It was in July. It was actually my birthday, fun fact. And so, yeah, that update came out a solid 4 months ago now, and I'm dumb for not realizing, like you did, oh smart person who is not a lunatic, that it's only candles on cakes that aren't on Bedrock. Except then I loaded up Minecraft and I decided to craft some candles and see what happens if I tried for them on a cake, and you know what? That works too. What did they mean in the press release when they said that this update adds candles for all platforms? Which platforms, and by the way, it's only coming out for Java and Bedrock, they said. Which of those does not have candles right now? I don't know. I think they made a mistake, and you know what? Who doesn't make mistakes? Not me, that's for sure. And that's why I want to move to this next question, because something I wanted to talk about for a while is this third question from Paul Harrison. Are you excited about Nembon, I don't know how you say that, Nembon, joining the Minecraft development team? I think the stuff he has shown on YouTube is pretty incredible, and I'm excited to see what kind of ideas he brings to Minecraft. So yeah, there was an official announcement. This is very cool. Nembon, who if you don't know, is both a Minecraft modder, but also a YouTuber, joined the Minecraft team last week, which is really, really, really cool by itself. If you are entirely unfamiliar with him, it turns out I had a file called Nembon on my PC, and I loaded it up, and it was this one. And so it was actually him who first worked out that 3D biomes were a thing, and that maybe there would be a cave update, and that's in 2019, two years ago and a bit. And so yeah, that's really cool that like this is someone who clearly knows Minecraft, who can spot this sort of thing, who has made some really impressive mods. I decided to look through some of the stuff he's posted on Twitter, and what his mod has enabled is custom biome terrain stuff like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. I love the whole, it's the Nether, but it's full of netherite ore. How beautiful. But yeah, I think that like this is a really fun thing to see on the Minecraft development team. I hope his talents aren't wasted, and I hope that this continues to show that Minecraft is hiring a ton of people, and they are trying their best to get more and more stuff out there, because yeah, that is something a lot of people have had disappointment with in the last year, such as this next comment from JamXO. 2020, I'm so excited for Archaeology. 2021, I'm so excited for Archaeology. 2022, I'm so excited for Archaeology. Are you ready for what comes in 2023? I'm so excited for Archaeology. And yeah, so it's basically been confirmed, albeit not directly, because 1.19 is the big update for 2021, that like, yeah, we are not going to be seeing Archaeology then, so maybe in 2022. But yeah, it just, and it seems like a bummer, but it is one of those features that Olraf, the developer behind, he is very passionate about bringing to the game. I think it's just like, obviously, when there is an update they have promised, they focus on delivering those things as best best they can, because people are more upset when, you know, for instance, 1.18 doesn't have the Warden than if 1.18 had added Archaeology. That's my personal guess. All of the great things that they've added this update, you don't notice, because it's just things that you feel like they've promised or said from the past. So I feel like that is why we're not seeing these far-off features and why we're seeing them delayed. If it takes a lot of work, and right now people are going crazy anyway, why not focus on that? Also, this next comment comes in from Lumpology. Key takeaway, Toycat played too much console edition, and this is totally true. It's a response I get to a lot of videos, because I'm the only YouTuber who references the console edition. Everyone else is like, yeah, so there is Java, and then there's that weird version that people on their phones play, and I try not to acknowledge besides when Minecraft pays me. Like that is the usual YouTube landscape, right? But personally, as someone who has like so many years of like, you know, years and years and years of gameplay in the console edition, whether that's minigame or just playing survival, or, but you know, it was the first platform to just have open hop-in multiplayer with your friends. There's so many strong, fond memories of it, but also because I made videos of it for all those years, people come to my channel expecting Minecraft console edition news, and every single update, there's someone who hasn't got the memo for the last few years that this update won't be for console edition, which is why I always have to mention, like, yeah, this won't be coming out for your Xbox 360. I don't know how you're playing the Xbox 360 or how you think it's gonna get an update, but I'm sorry to tell you it's not. And that's why I always mention it, even though 99% of you are like, yeah, I don't care if it's coming out for my Raspberry Pi or my 360. I play the Java edition, or I play the Bedrock edition. Who are you talking to here, Toycat? And yeah, there's always people I'm talking to. Speaking of people I'm talking to, Brandon Plays 702 says, wait, is he actually cancelling his trip to cover the update, or was he joking? I really did have flights to Czechia, Prague, the Czech Republic, whatever you know it as. I did have flights to there. I was going to fly with KLM, and do you want to know all of my other travel details? I'm sure you don't. But I was going to fly there, but it's happening on the day of the update. Like, that is a very important day, work-wise. I'm going to lose, like, I don't know, $30, $40 worth of flights, but I think I would lose a lot more than $30, $40 by not being at home for when the big update of the season releases, and not being ready to stream it, or not being ready to check it out, make videos, go through all the features that are actually inside the actual finished Bedrock update, because there's so many questions about that. If you're playing Java, you know exactly what's in there. But for Bedrock players, what is in the actual finished version of the update is something we're only like 99% sure of, and it's hard to show off entirely, because right now the betas for Bedrock are showing off 1.19 features a little bit. So, you know, like, what is inside 1.18? I want to find out with all of you. I'm excited to do that, and I want to, like, talk about the best, the worst, etc. Also, I mentioned that I said I was cancelling my trip to Europe, I think I said, and so I got this confused comment from Caves and Villages SMP. Wait, don't you live in Europe? I do in fact live in Europe. That is the continent that I live on. However, there's this weird thing in the UK. I think it stems from our, like, semi-attached relationship with the EU, but like even when we were a part of the club, but like people refer to Europe or to Europeans as being anyone but people from these islands, you know, obviously Ireland and the UK, I guess the British Isles, let's call it to simplify things. Why is that the case? It is technically geographically inaccurate, but it's the simplest way to describe, like, yes, I am going to somewhere else on my own continent versus I am going somewhere and it is probably intercontinental. You know, would love to go to Australia, but that is a very different trip in terms of how long you need to be there, preparation, etc. What am I talking about? No one cares about European things. Speaking of European things, everyone that thought Microsoft buying Mojang was a good idea, well, anyone regret that yet? Honestly, hot take here, I do talk about how there's been a big disappointment with how the Caves and Cliffs update was delivered, and it's easy to blame that on Microsoft and be like, yeah, that, as you can see, big company ruining our game. However, generally speaking, you know, when a big company buys a small studio, usually what happens is the small studio feels overworked, they feel, you know, inclined to add features they don't want to. Maybe we could use the Persona system as an example of this, and all the emotes that they make you buy. There's Ben 10 emotes for some reason that cost real money just to make whatever. It's weird, and you can point to Microsoft for that. Yeah, sure. You can even point to Microsoft and you can say the year and a half between 1.8 and 1.9 coincidentally lined up with Microsoft buying the company. Wow, I wonder if there's a reason behind that, or if maybe that contributed to the split that still Minecraft has to this day, where like almost half of players are like, yeah, but the combat sucks and I preferred it back in the 2013 version of the game. You still get people like that today in 2021. And so yeah, I think though, like right now the problem, if there was one, is that like Mojang is very left alone. They are are making their own decisions, and those decisions are probably great for staff health that a big studio would not, a big publisher usually doesn't let their staff make, I'm sure. And now the question is like, is that good for us as users? Because there's three parts of any business. There is the the shareholders, let's call it the owners of the means of production, if you want to be simple. Then there's the people who like manage that and work on it, and then there's the people who consume the end product. Sure, you can make a wonderful world for the people who consume the product, but it's gonna hurt both the owners of the company and the workers. They're gonna be overworked, and they're gonna be underpaid, because that's the best way to make sure you make the cheapest thing. Or you can make things great for the owners of the company, but then the people getting the game have to pay more, and they're getting less. The workers, it sucks for them. Or you can have a great thing for the workers of the company, and it's wonderful because they have amazing work conditions. Like, they don't need to do anything. There's no fixed release dates. There's no fixed anything, so that staff can be as unstressed as possible and live the most fulfilling lives. And a lot of people advocate for this in the abstract without realizing that, like, oh yeah, but then we have to consume these slightly, maybe you would say inferior products. The ideal, and also obviously if we're consuming less or we don't want to consume it, then the owners are doing worse. The ideal is you work out that perfect balance where everyone is happy. The people with the end product are like, yes, this is amazing. The workers are like, we made this amazing thing and we're fairly compensated and we feel good, and I don't know, whatever else you need to be a fulfilled human being. And the owners are really happy that they threw their money into something and they want to throw more money into it in the future, so that they can make a bigger, better product, and boom, that's what you want in life. But it's hard. Speaking of things that are hard, as a British person, certain ways of speaking are tricky. I mentioned in the last Q&A that saying Panda Express, I say Panda Express instead of Panda Express because of a weird quirk of British speaking. And apparently it's not just that, it's the inclusive R on like so many other vowels, such as Ashadi Ed. You blew my mind here because I didn't realize that I do say drawing. I don't say drawing, I say drawing. There's an R in there for no reason. Law and order, you're right, yeah, it's not law and order, it's law and order for me. And so yeah, as it turns out, people understand how I speak better than I understand how I speak, and thank you for the comment, Ashad Ed. Speaking of comments I'm thankful for, is the hype for Minecraft dying again? Bad time to say this, given that Caves and Cliffs Part 2 was just announced and a lot of people are very hyped, but it is a valid question. Is the hype dying down? Do people want to play this, and etc.? By and large, the response is yes. I think we have a particular magnet towards people who are disappointed, and I actually don't like that. I don't want to be the source where people are like, yeah, I just want to complain about this. No, this is a solid update. They are massively improving terrain generation. It is incredible the strides and leaps we've made. Look at rivers, look at beaches, look at the height limit, look at all of these different things. However, again, like what I think this actually is your personal bubble of hype around you is dying. This can happen to people all the time, right? I think that the easiest example is politics. When there is an election, let's use America because everyone on the internet's American around election time. When there is an election, people are genuinely convinced that their guy can't lose. It's like, yeah, well, everyone I know is voting for Mr. Blue, and then some people living in the rural nowhere are like, everyone I know is voting for Mr. Red, and then they go to the polls and they're like, huh, it turns out there are other people besides people I know. You live in a personalized bubble that includes hype for games, that includes everything, and I don't know, just an example of that. Like, how many anti-vaxxers do you know in real life? Most people don't know very many. If you don't know any, you're probably picturing the crazy person with a banner being like, I down with the medical, whatever word they'd use, I actually don't know. And so it's much easier to demonize that group than if you realize that it's like, oh, it's actually like 20% of the population. I think even higher in America, right? Like 30% of the population disproportionately, I don't know, ethnic minority, disproportionately poor, disproportionately all these things. And it's like, yeah, that's not a group you want to be picking on, is it? That's not a group you want to be trying to hurt because you feel like they've hurt you. Or maybe it is, but the point is that your personalized representation is different to the actual representation. And that's true for Minecraft hype. There are so many people this very second, if you're not into Minecraft right now, loving the game. And if everyone around you loves Minecraft, and this is the golden age of Minecraft, there is someone right now who has quit the game forever because they're so mad about something to do with 1.18, and that's the universal truth. We go backwards, we go forwards, we go left, we go right, we go all over the place, because welcome to the internet. Speaking of the internet, Q&A Saturday question. Are you still accepting Legacy Console Edition seeds? So even though I love Console Edition, realistically to me, first of all, only like 5% of my subscribers play console anymore. But I also think that Console Edition seeds are kind of samey in a good way. Like, it's the generation finding balanced seeds. It's easy to find new, fresh seeds. Whereas for Bedrock and Java, it's a little bit harder, and that's why I do 95% of seeds for Bedrock and 5% for Java, and none for Legacy Console Edition. Send me your seeds if you want, toycatassistant@gmail.com. I prefer they be for Bedrock though. Send a picture, send whatever else, and we'll check those seeds out. Speaking of checking things out, I'm American, and learning a bit of your language is interesting. Did you know the UK calls a flashlight a torch? I did in fact know that. I was actually confused that it's one of those, I literally mentioned in my video that American language is generally oversimplified, partly because of the whole trying to overthrow the whole British, like, ooh, the aristocratic elite. Like, no, we say things how they actually are over here. But, instead of a torch, we'll call it a flashlight, because it flashes in a light. I also think it's partially that America is a nation of immigrants, right? It's people who immigrated to that country, not all of which, in fact, the probably majority of which, did not speak English as their first language going into it. And so, if you're learning English as a second language, it's easier to understand eggplant than it is to understand aubergine, because aubergine is just a series of characters. I think it's probably like a French word or something, whereas an eggplant, it's a plant that looks like an egg. A purple egg, I'll admit, but it's weird. Or, another example would be, we call it a gammon instead of a ham. Ham is what you call other types of pork, and it's a simple enough thing. Or even, the example of pants I mentioned in the video, we call the underwear pants. And that can be confusing because where do pants go? Who knows for sure? Whereas underwear, it doesn't take a genius to work out where it goes. It goes underneath your other clothing. However, a lot of these American English words kind of find their way into British English anyway. The most common example, I would say, at least here in London, is the pavement is the thing on the side of the road for British English. But people will say the sidewalk anyway, just to explain, like, the place where you walk on the side of the road. It's simple. Another example would be, even though we call it a torch when it's a handheld thing, on your phone it is a flashlight anyway, because it's just the light that flashes on your phone. Another example would be Google Drive, which is how I sent this video to my editor, Harrison. Thank you for putting this together, by the way. Google Drive for me says trash, even though next to it has an icon of a bin. For some reason on my second channel, Google Drive, it says bin instead of trash there. So, Harrison, what does your logo show? Show the world right here. Boom, now you know. Even computers are slightly different across languages, and they're actually one of the things that unify languages together. They're one of the reasons I can understand American English, despite the fact that it's so different, and it's the reason that you could watch this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe with notifications turned on. It's a great way to ensure that you'll see more of these videos, and I'm asking you to do it because, of course, it benefits me personally, and that would be something I would like, for you to see more of these videos that I spend a surprising portion of my life, actually. Anyway, with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.